Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Fading Suns universe book. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review of this science fiction passion play, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to take a look at the royal houses. We start with House AlMalik. House AlMalik is an enigma, a mystery deeper than that of gold. Are they merchants, buying their way to power? Are they secret republicans, worming their way into the cracks and crevices of the empire, trying to bring it down from the inside? Are they exactly what they appear to be? Poets and artists and a mishmash of other cultural influencers all thrown together in one family? The truth is a combination of all of that. AlMalik is a house of individuals, nobles all living their lives as hard as they possibly can. Members of this house are always looking for the next thing, whether that's an opportunity, a lover, a fashion, or a war. They immerse themselves in it until it becomes boring, and then they move on. Young AlMalik are given a rigorous education, the better to introduce them to the possibilities of the known worlds. How then does this house of fiery passions and occasional democratic sympathies not break under the strain of its own weight? In some cases, not well. The AlMalik are careful not to present themselves solely as a military house, though they certainly have a great deal of firepower. While they have extremely close ties to the guilds, in some cases having married into or out of them, the muster does not a house army make. However, AlMalik are taught from a young age to respect and encourage each other's passions, as nurturing a garden is nurturing many souls at once. Such elegant and impenetrable imagery, known as the graceful tongue, is wound through all education a member of the house receives. Oddly, for a noble house, the serfs are also a major part of what keeps it together. While peasantry on an AlMalik world are not anywhere near the level of a member of the house, many have similar, if not the same, rights as free folk. Some of the leading members of this house include Prince Hakim Rashid AlMalik. This is the Duke of Istaghur and the de facto head of the house. While the house could appoint a patriarch or matriarch, Hakim holds the crown on the jewels of the AlMalik worlds. Thus, he is in charge. He is in his late 50s, easily identified by his salt and pepper beard, hard shoulders, and eyes of an unnervingly bright blue. Hakim never raises his voice, but then again, he never needs to. There's also Yusef Ibn Rahim AlMalik. This is the Duke of Kritikorum, a young man with deep grey eyes. He was born Yasmin bint Rahim AlMalik, the eldest daughter in a family of all women. She attended university on Hayam, studying medicine and bioengineering before going dark for several years. At great personal danger, Yusef deliberately underwent his transition in the free city of Yintrai, where the plague bombs dropped by the Decados during the Emperor Wars left strains of mutation-inducing bacteria. He now likes to joke that he developed both his manhood and his third eye in Yintrai. This house rules over primary worlds, such as Istaghur, which is the crown world of the AlMalik. Although it is a desert, it is nonetheless home to an abundance of life. The guilds, the church, and several different noble houses all have a presence here. There's also Kritikorum. This is the most populated of the AlMalik worlds. It is also the most chaotic. Remnants of the battles between factions are scattered across the planet and through its culture. AlMalik are noble scholars prone to action and engagement. Then we have House Decados. When the Avestites launch an inquisition, or the Brothers of Battle lose one of their own in the night, the first question on every noble's lips is the same. Which Decados was it now? House Decados has built their brand on shock and awe, physically, mentally, and socially. But it is their spy network, the Jacobian agency, that poses the real threat. Any member of the Decados could be a Jacobian. Any free person on a Decados planet could be a Jacobian. In fact, it is safer to assume that the person you are talking to is a spy trained by the Jacobian agency than it is to let something important slip. Though House Decados is one of the most internally divided great houses of the known worlds, one would never know it, based on their estates. Massive edifices of steel and glass, square buildings in brutalist grey with huge, ornate stained glass windows, and other stranger architecture all make up different Decados holdings. Perhaps the oddest fixture of the typical Decados estate is the torture garden. Most gardens require guests to bring their own equipment, though the bigger ones provide a full selection of torture tools for the discerning noble sadist. Decados children are raised to expect the world, and then some. From their earliest days playing in the fountains of the torture gardens to their adolescent immersion in real-world experience, the children of this house learn to take what they want. House Decados doesn't bother to hide its decadence. In fact, they enjoy rubbing it in the face of anyone they can, from dropping plague bombs on Criticorum to rampant genetic and cybernetic experimentation, as well as a certain infamous incident involving Baron Harlon Romanov Decados' technological extension at a council meeting. The Decados strategically flaunt tradition and often good taste in any way possible. Some of the house's leading members include Prince Hiram Vladislav Decados. This is the remaining patriarch of the family. Though he seems a soft-spoken and harmless older man, his age-weakened body hides a mind sharper than any blade. He has elected not to get any cybernetic augmentations, but even so, he is feared. His torture garden is vast, and it is rarely empty. There's also Duchess Salandra Romanov Decados. She rules Cadiz from her palace in the capital city of Elivirj. Technically, she doesn't do much ruling, being away from Byzantium Secundus much of the time. House Decados rules over worlds such as Severus. This is Prince Hiram's seat of power, teeming with a massive population of humans and aliens. Cities dot the vast prairies, and the sea is full of fish. The planet has a wealth of mineral resources, but also a wealth of pests, including whole rats. There's also Cadiz, which is ruled by the Duchess Salandra as explained, the Corpse Queen, as some have called her. Her domain includes huge metropolitan ruins that sprawl across the surface. Decados aren't sociopaths, they just believe in having what they want when they want it. Then we have details on House Hawkwood. If there is any true honor to be found amidst the lords, ladies, and other nobility of the known worlds, then it is in House Hawkwood. At least, that's what House Hawkwood says. Traditionalists to the bone, Hawkwood plays hard, works harder, and fights to win. One of the most powerful noble houses in the Empire, it's known for its massive military and a wealth of fiefs across the stars. They take contracts and treaties seriously, and treat breaking them even more so. To become friends with a Hawkwood is to have an ally for life. To become their enemy is to be forever watching over your shoulder. While Emperor Alexius is a member of the house, he has since distanced himself, striving for an image of impartiality. The Hawkwoods staunchly support the Phoenix throne, but as far as many of them are concerned, they support a friendly stranger. Each Hawkwood is a fortress unto himself. From the moment he can walk, a Hawkwood is taught exactly what steps to take in what order to achieve the best results. Some of the leading members of this house include Princess Victoria Mountbatten Hawkwood. This is Alexius's younger cousin and the current matriarch of House Hawkwood. She rules from her seat on Delphi, allowing Duke Montgomery Mountbatten Hawkwood to take charge of planetary affairs while she manages internal house business. There's also Duke Alvarez Darian Hawkwood. This is Alexius's twin brother, though younger by several minutes. He has sizable fiefs on both Delphi and Ravenna, and he's wildly popular among the younger, more military-minded Hawkwoods. He is a brilliant commander, but an exceedingly weak politician due to his disdain for courtly etiquette and intrigues. Some of the primary worlds ruled by Hawkwood include Delphi, which is jointly ruled by Prince Victoria and Duke Montgomery. It is a fairly cosmopolitan world, with humans and Ovun living in large, sophisticated cities and small pastoral towns. There's also Ravenna, which is ruled by Duke Cassius Darion Hawkwood, a political reactionary and near heretic. The world is one of the major exporters of raw building materials in the known worlds. Other houses may see a Hawkwood as complacent and arrogant, content to rest on the laurels of 1,000 dead royal families. Nothing is farther from the truth. Hawkwoods are patient, honorable, and even proud, but slow and steady wins the race. Next we have the Hassat. Much like the rest of the house's existence, the creation of the noble house known as the Hassat was fraught with conflict and rapid change. During the Second Republic, the house was in service to the now extinct House Chauki, a proud lineage of martial dukes who expected absolute obedience and perfection from their retainers. The Hassat overthrew them in a martial coup, much to the Chauki's chagrin. While there are still remnants of the Chauki devotion to physical perfection in the Hassat, the house's virtues have since expanded to encompass all sorts of romantic ideals. While the Hassat rival the AlMalik in their passion and excitement, their martial prowess makes them what they are. They haven't quite escaped the shadow of their former lieges. In fact, they embrace it in a perverse fashion. The phrase House Hassat is almost never used in any official documentation or among the members of the house. It's always the Hassat, as if to remind its families of their humble beginnings as captains, sergeants, and supply command for a greater house, now dead and subsumed. Their children, unlike other houses, are not raised to the world. Many younger Hassat have tutors, true, but they are also educated by the church, the house military, and the guilds. If they want something, they have to ask for it, work for it, and really want it. The Hassat proclivity towards competition has earned them no small number of enemies. Outside, they keep up a healthy rivalry with House Hawkwood. The Hawkwoods consider the Hassat undisciplined, wild, and childish. The Hassat in turn sneer at House Hawkwood as stodgy and predictable, even outdated. This rivalry has only grown after the humiliating Hassat defeat in the Emperor Wars, and it is an open secret that the house opposes Alexius's right to rule. Some of its leading members include Prince Juan Jacobi Nelson Eduardo de Aragon de Hassat. This is the ruler of Aragon and the head of house. A middle-aged gentleman with a booming laugh, Prince Juan is everything conjured up by the phrase tall, dark, and handsome. He is dashing with a sword, cuts a striking figure on a horse or at the helm of a skimmer, has won a fair share of duels, and casually flirts with almost everyone. There's also Duchess Rosalia Maria Cordelia Justus de Hira de Hassat. She holds the crown of Hira, but not much else. The capital of the planet is ruled by Arolas, one of the smaller, more martial families allied with Prince Eduardo, and while she lives there at his pleasure, most of the planetary administration is out of her hands. Some of the primary worlds ruled by the Hassat include Aragon, which is the throne world of the Hassat. With its glittering technology, unique flora, and relatively happy populace, it is a well-settled and beautiful temperate world. While none of its cities are particularly large, there are many of them, each with its own operations. There's also Sutek, a mysterious world of jungles, oceans, and ruins. Its peasants and merchants mostly live in massive cities bulwarked against the humid darkness of the rainforest. The Hassat are quick to anger, but they are usually not stupid. Then we have House LiHan. Only those who fall the farthest know how high they can go. At least that's what House LiHan believes. This devoted and disciplined family used to glory in the worst excesses that the known world had to offer, engaging in acts that even a Decados thrill-seeker might balk at. During the First Emperor Wars, the house swiftly converted to the Universal Church of the Celestial Sun. Those who didn't take the conversion seriously were cut down in their own beds or courtyards. Normally, The other houses sneer at a house that puts religion before all else. Not so with the LiHan. Their power comes from their ability to do what needs to be done, acting without pity or hesitation. The house is tightly controlled by its prince, and the nobles tightly control their serfs. Everything has its place, and each thing has a duty to operate within its bounds, no more and no less. Children of House LiHan are brought up knowing how to perform courtly rituals. Some knew how to bow before they walked. Posture corsetry is en vogue in the house at the moment, so children as young as 10 are laced into stays to straighten their spines during puberty. LiHan children have a multitude of private tutors who teach them everything from theology to music to piloting. In general, though, a knowledge of diplomacy is second only to combat training. Some of its leading members include Prince LiHan Flavius Kung Zhao. This is the leader of the house and the ruler of Kish. In his mid-30s, he is a studious and serious man, and his dark hair is starting to go grey at the temples. While he seems kind and a little absent-minded at first glance, this is a front. Flavius is intensely situationally aware, noticing every twitch of a muscle or flick of an eyebrow. There's also Duchess LiHan Fativa Naganaka. She is a noble on Median and the lover of the planet's ruling duke, Augustus. She does not consider it a sin to continue an affair with a married man and responds to inquiries with stony silence. She is extremely devout, extremely wealthy, and one of the few nobles to own land on Holy Terra. Some of LiHan's primary worlds include Kish, which is the throne world, ruled directly by Flavius. It hosts many infrastructure projects throughout its hills and deserts. The planet produces an abundance of foodstuffs, textiles, minerals, manufactured goods, and educated workers, so it's an extremely valuable part of the LiHan holdings. There's also Median. This is a world of technological ruin and hope for the future. Oddly enough, for a world ruled by such a traditional house, Median is also host to the Lioness Autonomous Democracy, the only region of its kind in the known worlds. Straight-laced and straight-faced, the LiHan are traditional to a fault, but never boring. They look for a way to get what they want, without going against the norms of the house. We also have information on minor houses, and even a few details concerning extinct houses, such as Gisar and Windsor. Let me talk about some of the minor houses. We have Eldred, named for their founder, not for any shared blood. House Eldred is a loose confederation of pro-imperial thanes and their families from Hargard. While many of them are older or more physically powerful than Eldred the Wise herself, they are all unfailingly loyal to their Grand Thane, or as she now calls herself among known worlders, the Duchess. There's also Justinian. Once a major house, House Justinian suffered major setbacks when they lost their home planet of Paradise. Much of this house is dead set on reclaiming their homeworld, but some of them have turned their eyes to newer, more achievable goals. There's also House Torrenson. Once a house of warriors, Torrenson was soundly defeated during the First Emperor War. They are now brilliant arbiters, matchmakers, and lawyers. And these are just some of the minor houses. It seems that there's going to be more information about them in future supplements. And this concludes this part of the review for today. As you can see, all of these houses have a unique strength of character, and conventions and protocols, traditions, that make them stand out from one another. Some of them are a bit more utilitarian, some of them are a bit more dogmatic, some are more focused on honor, others are completely focused on specific results. And there is a lot of information for each of the houses. I just gave you a few details. For example, there are notes on how to roleplay as a member of each house. You also have details on the favored callings of the different houses, the stereotypes, and of course extensive background for each one. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.